The White House has released a letter indicating that they will not cooperate with the impeachment investigation into Donald Trump's conversations and dealings with Ukraine and possibly other foreign leaders. Now, as we all know at this point, Donald Trump spoke with the Ukrainian president and pressured him to specifically do an investigation into his political rival, Joe Biden. He also communicated with the leader of China and encouraged China to do an investigation, not only into Biden, but also Elizabeth Warren, which gives you a sense of what Donald Trump is doing. He's not trying to root out corruption. He's trying to do whatever it takes to increase his chances of getting reelected.
I just got to step in for 1 second there. Look, as always, we've told you, not bright enough to cover up his crimes. No person who is in any way sophisticated or who is like really not mentally challenged would put both of the Democratic frontrunners into the same conversation with a foreign country. You would maybe put them in different conversations. You would put Chinese people around them or Ukrainian people around them to make it seem like you really care about corruption in Ukraine or China. But only an idiot of idiots would say to a foreign country when it is illegal to do so, can you look into both of my Democratic opponents, thereby removing any doubt at all that this is about getting help for his political campaign and not a legitimate foreign policy purpose. And that is the exact idiot that Donald Trump is.
Yes, exactly. Now, this story broke right before we went on air, but I want to read you just one small portion of the letter that the White House sent to congressional Democrats regarding their unwillingness to cooperate with this investigation. The letter says, your unprecedented actions have left the president with no choice. In order to fulfill his duties to the American people, the Constitution, the executive branch, and all future occupants of the office of the presidency, President Trump and his administration cannot participate in your partisan and unconstitutional inquiry under these circumstances. So the question remains, what will congressional Democrats do? They've talked the talk, but will they walk the walk? If they subpoena members of Trump's administration and they just flat out ignore those subpoenas, are they gonna hold those individuals in contempt of Congress? That's what they've claimed that they do. But saying you're gonna do it and then actually doing it, two completely different things. So I think Democrats, even with this impeachment investigation, have been devastatingly weak in their messaging, but we'll see what they do following this letter. Now, with that said, the State Department stepped in and prevented Gordon Sondland, a key witness in the impeachment investigation, from testifying or appearing before House Democrats for a deposition. Sondland is the ambassador to the European Union, and he was actually involved in text messages that revealed that there was a quid pro quo between Donald Trump and the Ukrainian president. Now, the House Intelligence Committee chairman, Adam Schiff, and the chairman of two other House panels said that they would issue a subpoena to Sondland following news that he would not appear before congressional Democrats. And so Sondland's lawyer said that his client was, quote, profoundly disappointed that the State Department did not allow him to testify and expressed hope that the issues raised by the State Department, the agency, would be resolved promptly to allow him to testify. In fact, let me give you the exact statement from Sondland's lawyer. Ambassador Sondland believes strongly that he acted at all times in the best interest of the United States, and he stands ready to answer the committee's questions fully and truthfully. So before we go to some video on this, Cenk, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so two things here. One, I'm gonna go back to the Warren and Biden being in the same conversation when he's talking about so-called corruption in a different country. I mean, how could you be so maniacally stupid? It's like, oh, you know what, I care a lot about corruption in Botswana. That's why I'd like you to investigate Biden and Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg and Andrew Yang. You're like, really? You care about corruption in Botswana? Okay, all right. Like, but the MAGA guys are like, no, it's possible. Yeah, I think so. It's possible.
He wants to drain the swamp.
Yeah, drain the swamp in Botswana. That's why he asked about Andrew Yang. Okay, whatever gets you through the night. Okay, now to Sondland. So there's an intriguing possibility here. It's not going to happen. It's a low probability event, but I want to say it anyway. So Sondland's a huge Trump backer. So you could tell in two different ways. One, he gave $1 million to his inaugural committee. That's a pretty good sign, okay? In fact, he has that position because he's a huge donor to Donald Trump his campaign, his inaugural committee, you name it, Sondland has basically, done what we call legalized bribes. And that's how he got the position. In the first place, he runs hotels. What's he doing as an ambassador to the European Union? But to be fair, that is normal systemic corruption that both parties engage in. Obama did it all the time. All of the presidents do it. You give me a lot of money, I make you the ambassador to wherever, who cares? This is how corruption works.
And that should be outlawed.
Totally agreed.
Yep.
We need real ambassadors, not some rich dudes who bribed presidential candidates. Anyway, but he's 100% Trumpy. And the second way you could tell is in the text. So one of the diplomats says, this is really wrong to hold up foreign aid to help Donald Trump's political campaign. Sondland comes in with, now remember, Donald Trump was very clear about that. That is not his intention. This is not a quid pro quo. And let's get off text immediately. So he's trying to cover Trump's ass. He knows that that's the reality. He doesn't want it in writing. So Sondland's saying, I'm ready to testify. And he's probably thinking, here we go again, you knucklehead. I'm gonna support you 100%. You're taking heat for no reason. Let me go testify, right? And I'll tell him, oh, you were great and you didn't do quid pro quo and I earned the spot. I mean, it had nothing to do with the $1 million I gave you. I'll tell him all the pretty little fairy tales that we tell in Washington, right? But there is like a small percentage chance that if it's not Sondland, that a guy like Sondland, who's a Trumpy, who's gonna come in one day and go, look, I gave the guy $1 million. I liked him. I thought he was the right guy. We have business interests. They won't say any of that, right? But that's the prelude that everybody knows. But he did it. And if a Sondland-like guy says he did it, then he's in a world of hurt. Then Republican senators are in play. So it's a low percentage chance, but if a giant Republican donor who's now an ambassador, who is clearly 100% a Trump supporter, turns and says, I can't cover for him anymore. He asked for dirt on his political opponent, and we knew, and he told us it was quid pro quo, and we will not give the foreign aid. And I was surprised. I didn't think that that's what he was gonna do. That's not what I signed up for. So the guy more likely to do that is Rex Tillerson. The problem is he's got dirty hands with Russia, and ExxonMobil. But he's dying to do it because he can't stand Trump. But somebody one day is gonna walk in and go, he did it.
So let me just comment on how ridiculous the double standard is for Democrats versus Republicans, right? First of all, let's say in your ideal scenario, this lifelong card-carrying member of the Republican Party comes out and says, and it's Trump supporter, comes out and says, no, Trump did it. You know what would happen with Senate Republicans and the very people. I do. Yeah. They would smear him, they would brush him off, they would do everything that they can to label him as a liberal, as some crony who's looking to destroy Trump's career, someone who might have a personal grudge, whatever. They'll do whatever it takes. But the point that I want to make is, if I were a congressional Democrat and I were serving in one of these committees, right? Like, I don't need to even wait for that, right? It already looks bad for Trump because he did it. There's so much evidence. There's overwhelming evidence. And it's not just about Ukraine, it's about China. I mean, he broke the law in front of everyone just last week. Chopper talk, we all remember it, right? Where he talks about China investigating his political rivals. It's out of control. So look, the reason why I bring that up is because you have these like weaklings, like Adam Schiff. And here you have the State Department and now the White House saying, no, we don't care. We're not gonna participate in this investigation. And so you should feel fire over that. You should be angry over that. Instead, you have Adam Schiff coming out with a statement that looks like this.
Not only is the Congress being deprived of his testimony, the American people being deprived of his testimony today, but we are also aware that the ambassador has text messages or emails on a personal device, which have been provided to the State Department, although we have requested those from the ambassador, and the State Department is withholding those messages as well. We know that Ambassador Sondland had at least one discussion with a fellow diplomat on that very subject of why military assistance was being withheld. We know Ambassador Sondland was a key player in efforts to obtained a commitment from Ukraine to investigate a bogus conspiracy theory about the 2016 election, as well as Joe Biden and his son. And we know that the ambassador has relevant evidence on whether the meeting with the president that the Ukrainians desperately sought with President Trump was being conditioned on these investigations that the president believed would help his re-election campaign.
Oh, Anna, the clip's over. It's kind of awkward, but the clip's over. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So that was Representative Adam Schiff making a bold statement.
Okay, very, very bold. So a couple of things about that. They're in his head. So every little thing he says slightly wrong, Fox News is all over, and Donald Trump retweets 1,000 times. So that's why he's being even more careful. And you could see him pausing and like, I'm not saying anything wrong that Fox News is going to yell at me for, am I? Let me keep talking in like really boring ways and be really, really, really careful. Okay, now, like, you know, I grew up watching wrestling. I'm like, please tag out, right? I'm like dreaming of a scenario where he just like reaches over and tags. Oh no, it's Ojeda.
No, it looks like he's gonna pass out.
I know, more pass out more than tag it. And Ojeda comes in and goes, listen, he goes, Trump not need darken my doorstep with his lies and his unacceptable behavior, okay? I can't accept that. And boom, and come in guns blazing. God, these Democrats. Anyways, so back to planet Earth. Look, you guys know me. I'm not naive about the Republican intentions. Of course, they'll lie on behalf of Trump. They'll do it in the most outrageous ways. They've done it the entire time we've been doing the Young Turks for 17 years straight. Finally, the mainstream media is like, huh? Like Chuck Todd's like, this Republican senator might not be telling me the truth. Really? Wow, isn't it? Okay, so that's not why I'm saying if you have a real solid Trump supporting Republican turn on him with critical evidence why the Senate Republicans might fold. No, they'll tell any lie. But guys, you look at what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, read between the lines. McConnell is nowhere to be seen. The turtle has gone into his shell. Now, normally McConnell would be breathing fire, telling lie after lie after lie, but you can't find McConnell anywhere. That means he's in a bunker calculating.
And he did say that if this impeachment investigation goes forward and it gets to the Senate, he would have to allow for a vote.
Yeah, that's telling. And now you've got Romney and Sass in those are two Republican senators starting to say, I don't know about this guy.
Getting sassy.
Classy Ben Sassy. Okay. God, his name should be Sassy and not Sass. It's so much more fun. Anyway, you know Susan Collins is nervous. The numbers in Maine are terrible for her. Cory Gardner in Colorado needs Depends. And so his vote depends on how his election is going to go, and it ain't going well. So there's, they are calculating. They are calculating about their own fate and their own seats. Tick, 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 tick. So you just need one critical guy, tiny little bit of straw on the camel's back. Okay. So, but we're not there yet, and it's probably not Sondland. So Trump, as usual, damaging himself for no reason by not letting his ally testify. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.